River Call by Reverend Manish, former drum president. Between rocking the boat and sitting down, between stirring things up and peaceably going along, we find ourselves here in community, each called from many different journeys, many different life paths onto this river road. Some are here because the rocking of the boat has been too much tumult, too much uncertainty, and too much pain. Some are here with questions about where the boat is going, how best to steer it, and where this journey ends. Others are here as lovers of the journey, lovers of life itself, here in front, beside, behind, each a passenger, each a captain, doing the best we can. Rest here in your boat with me, the river calls. Listen to how I flow, the sound of life coursing all around you. Let the current hold you. Let the current guide you. The river that gently flows through your soul whispers, "Come, let us worship."
Good morning. Buenos dias. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. My name is David Rogriguez. I've been a member since 2005, and I've been busy since then, doing a lot of things here. This is my last Sunday with you for a little while. We'll see. I'll be moving to Maryland area, so thank you, Esperanza and Ayanna, for inviting me to the service today. Our weekly worship is where we connect, share information, and inspiration. Let's acknowledge the geographic place where we are currently located, the Yanawana, the home and traditional lands of the Coatitlcan people, and the original indigenous stewards of this land to which we all belong, now called San Antonio, Bexar County, and Texas. Let us also bear in mind that many indigenous peoples have not ever been recognized by our federal government, even as they continue to live among us today as vital contributors to and of our communities. Indeed, we speak these truths as one small step towards becoming the diverse and multicultural community of communities we aspire to be. At our church, we strive to enact a universal love that binds us in mutual care and affection, especially in our work for justice for all and for our planet. Our faith is all-inclusive, and all means all. If you are new to us and visiting for the first time today, we welcome you to fill out a visitor's card, and we'd like to get to know you and follow up with you. Wherever you are in your life's journey, we hope you'll find your place with us. Today, we welcome our guest speaker, Ayanna Coffee Stringer. Ayanna joins us again all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, on occupied Creek land. She currently serves as the president of the Diverse Revolutionary UU Multicultural Ministries, otherwise known as DRUM. Yes. Ayanna is a lifelong UU, a yogi, dancer, baker, writer, cozy gamer, and a mom of a UU youth. She prioritizes community and collaboration in almost everything they do, especially in organizing events like the Drum Regional Gathering that took place yesterday, Friday and yesterday, here at the First UU. Thank you for hosting us. And thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Ayanna. Still me. Okay, now it is time for us to turn to one another and exchange greetings of peace. Say hello to someone you know and don't know, and as a sign of our radical hospitality and joy in being together. Great intro.
And I love that. So we like to mix things up. So Jaime and I are going to try something new. We'd like you to join us. Okay, we're going to do hymn number 349, but we're changing it a little. We're rewriting it to give it a little bit more 21st century, or at least 20th century, with the bossa nova style. So Jaime's going to play it all the way through. Open your ears, open your hearts, and after he plays it all the way through, please open your mouth and join us in singing Gather Together. That got the blood flowing, right?
Hello, good morning. The flaming chalice unites our members in worship and symbolizes the spirit of our faith. Today's words are an excerpt from Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants by Robin Wall Kimmerer. We are showered every day with gifts, but they are not meant for us to keep. Their life is in their movement, the inhale and the exhale of our shared breath. Our work and our joy is to pass along the gift and the trust that what we put out into the universe will always come back. May it be so. And now for the covenant. We are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all are welcome as blessings. May we strive to share grace and forgiveness with ourselves and each other in the hope of becoming whole and reconciled. Each week we affirm this commitment to live and behave as a community in covenant. We know that this aim takes work, and as a first step, let's now recite our covenant that articulates these promises and binds us together in community first, in English and also in Spanish. The words can be found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. And service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Now in Spanish. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia, su sacramento es la búsqueda de la verdad y su oración es el servicio. Convivir en paz, buscar sabiduría en libertad, dar a la humanidad nuestro servicio fraternal para que todas las almas crezcan en armonía con la divinidad. Así pactamos el uno con el otro. Thank you.
Suelto tu imaginación, viajemos entre el real y la ficción, seamos la película de tu elección, mira que solo lleva el viento, hay amor. ¿Cómo seguir queriendo lo que se tiene? ¿Cómo seguir? Ay, qué rico se siente tenerte el volver a tocar. Vuelvas a dar, oh, ay, una vez más. Pretende que ya no somos nosotros dos, que sea un amor vivo, un escándalo. Salgamos por atrás pero no los pueden ver. La noche nos está esperando, puede ser. ¿Cómo seguir queriendo lo que se tiene? ¿Cómo seguir queriendo? así se siente. El fuego peque dura y hace más caliente. Lo que me dijeron y es evidente. Ay, qué rico se siente tenerte el volverte a tocar. Por al pasar, para luego volver a empezar. Ay, una vez más. Yo quiero estar contigo. Yo quiero estar contigo juntos nada más. Yo quiero estar contigo. Quiero estar contigo hasta la final.
Thank you. It's time to share our joys and sorrows. Let us enter into our hearts and minds, remembering that ours is a welcoming community that connects us, a spiritual community that enlivens us, a sharing community that amplifies our joys, a caring community hears our sorrows and holds us in compassion. May we listen more deeply, see each other more clearly, and grow closer to each other each time we gather together. As a way for us to connect as a community, you are invited to mindfully come forward down the aisles and light a candle, returning up the center aisle as suits your path to your seat. As you do so, please keep in mind that social distancing not only affords comfort to others, but saves lives. Let us savor this moment as Jaime plays our meditation music. Going to read from our community book of Joys and Sorrows. Someone writes, "Joyful for the drum service today, and joyful for all of the celebrations today, and all the cake and punch for me." Very nice, thank you. So there will be cake and punch after the service on the patio. Don't be late, it goes fast. Ty and Heidi McPhillips write that their daughter Kelly was married to her love this past Saturday. Congratulations. And we continue to pray for the people of Ukraine. Vladimir Narcia, who is separated from and worried about his wife and child, please pray for them in Tbilisi, Georgia, in that area. Join with me in a moment of prayerful reflection. Take a deep, cleansing breath and exhale. For all our joys, sorrows, and concerns, both spoken and unspoken, may we feel empathy and compassion. May the caring of our community offer a space of deep kindness, loving, and just action.
This is my cane. The height is adjustable. It's pink, one of my favorite colors to wear, and it folds down so it's easy to pack. This summer, after I turned 17, I played what I recall as a 100-person game of Capture the Flag at the North Carolina UU-centered conference center, The Mountain. I had successfully taken the flag and was running toward the boundary line. I was being pursued by a friend who seemed about as tall as a building. Without warning, as my left foot hit the ground, my left knee went out. I fell flat, and the person that was chasing me, seemingly overtaken by guilt, paused the game and carried me to the counselors. I saw the town doctor, who found swelling but nothing that would lead to my knee going out. However, I still couldn't move around without some form of support. That was the second time I was a beginning walker. In the last 20 years, I've had more knee injuries than I can count. I'm now so used to being a beginning walker, dancer, yogi, that it's basically a lifestyle. This is my cane. I'm happy when I'm using it because it's beautiful and it's dependable, and it helps me learn when my body is acting as leader and my mind is the listener. Can you think of any way that you are always learning, always listening? Something that you may never master, but are willing to keep doing?
Children out to the playgrounds. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the power of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Váyanse en paz, que el Espíritu de amor los rodee en todas partes donde quieran ir.
As the ushers prepare to take this morning's offering, let us pause to reflect on our blessings on this day. please share what you are willing and able. For those viewing online, we invite you to make a contribution on our website. I invite the ushers to come forward now.
Siempre que te pregunto que cuándo, cómo y dónde, tú siempre me respondes, quizás, quizás, quizás. Y así pasan los días y yo desesperado y tú contestando, quizás, quizás, quizás. Estás perdiendo tiempo pensando, pensando por lo que más tú quieras. ¿Hasta cuándo? ¿Hasta cuándo? Y así pasan los días y yo desesperado y tú contestando, quizás, quizás, quizás. Estás perdiendo tiempo pensando, pensando por lo que más tú quieras. ¿Hasta cuándo? ¿Hasta cuándo? Y así pasan los días y yo desesperado y tú contestando, quizás, 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 quizás,
We bless these offerings we have received. May we live as if there is enough for ourselves and all people. May we realize the true spirit of our UU tradition to be giving, generous, and kind to the people we know and the people we don't. May our blessings be multiplied through our sharing of them. Amen.
Ayanna was a punk rocker. At my core, I still am. Punk rock, in essence, is an artful act of nonconformity. It's a habit of free thinking. In high school, I was incredibly quiet, preferring to only speak to those I was already acquainted with. I was a deep thinker, appreciator of dramatic and artistic expression, and lover of feminism. I resisted preset ideas, preferring to find my own paths of exploring the world that I was presented with and sharing back as it came naturally. My friends and I would spend hours just taking up space in downtown Decatur, Little 5 Points in the East Atlanta Village, the most alternative and artistic Atlanta neighborhoods that I had access to. We spent our time exchanging ideas and endearing ourselves to shop owners with our adolescent enthusiasm. My connection to small businesses and cafe culture through the punk lens of my youth taught me community care and how to act as a responsible member of my communities. These lessons are constantly being called upon and reinforced by Unitarian Universalism. Not only was I an East Side Atlanta punk, but I was a church kid. Major church nerd. I spent most of my childhood at the Thurman Hamer Ellington UU Church before we moved to the UU Congregation of Atlanta, where my parents are still members. I attended camp and cons at the mountain and served as one of the many leaders in each of my UU communities. At 17, I heard that the Mid-South District's Youth Adult Committee, or MSD-YAC, would be having a con in conjunction with their annual elections. I had heard stories about cons being hosted at churches, being wildly unsupervised, having their own culture and sometimes deeply problematic rituals. However, one of the YAC co-chairs took it upon themselves to assure me that they take no part in these practices and that my values were shared by the community, that I was enthusiastically welcomed in this youth community. At a Mid-South District Youth Con, Friday nights were for getting to know each other, Saturday was for coffee, conversation, and hopefully a deeply UU experience. That Saturday, I found myself strolling through the Civil Rights Museum with about 100 white teenagers. I recall being incredibly moved by the very first room that I entered. Heart broken wide open, ready to experience. But I also recall feeling unsafe to experience the fullness of my emotions in the white space of my 2002 UU youth group culture. I separated myself from my friends and walked through the museum at a performative pace. I was part of the first group to arrive in the lobby. I quietly hung outside on the outskirts of the gathering, but didn't involve myself in the conversation, silence providing me some refuge. A few things happened at once. A museum security guard took a long look at us. A queer youth climbed onto the edge of a chair occupied by another queer youth, and our group got progressively more giggly and gleeful. Said security guard approached our group and informed the queer sharing punks that they needed to leave the museum. When pressed for a reason, the guard identified me and pulled me aside to talk. From my current teacher standpoint, this is wildly inappropriate. However, this Black elder chose what he viewed as the safest route forward. He asked me to explain to my fellow youth that they can't do that here. Simple request. In some versions of this story, I describe my reaction as a blackout. Other versions require the imagery of an out-of-body experience, but the truth is, while I am capable of holding a great deal, this was too many external stressors. I had a meltdown. Quiet Ayanna, whose teachers would forget if they weren't looking directly at me. Quiet Ayanna, who let her DIY punk style do the talking. Quiet Ayanna, whose middle name is literally translated to quiet, erupted. I eloquently yelled at this elder, telling him about the shameful irony of standing in a building that serves as a monument to our communal struggle while discussing the right for gay people to exist in public. Eloquent rage is not something that I'm proud of. Respectability politics is not something that I'm proud of participating in, but that's a different sermon. I'll bookmark that for later. I chose not to wait to be kicked out. Dramatic to a fault, I marched Doc Marten clad, wallet chains swinging from the museum lobby, an excited entourage of UU youth at my heels. I didn't have the opportunity to sort out my layered experience at the Birmingham Civil Rights Museum. As soon as we arrived back at the church, the entire group circled up for a decompression session. I sat with Ayanna youth, half listening to congoers verbally process their experience of the events at the museum. A white male youth stood, towering over the rest of us who were somewhere between crisscrossed and supine. He began by formally introducing himself, the length and quality of his experience in UUism, as well as in youth spaces. He said that he was running for social action coordinator of the MSD YAC, and because of that, he was concerned with the events at the museum. He began speaking about who we are as a faith, that we stand for intellectual discourse, that we are about respecting and engaging in differences of opinions, that when we go into the surrounding community, we are representing the congregation as well as UUism as a whole. We are not, he turned his gaze to the only brown face in the room, urban, he finished. I can be incredibly literal. Because of this, as well as the pressing need to process my day, I move towards his meaning like molasses. I know urban, I know downtowns and industrial districts, I know tar beaches, I know the smell of African and Caribbean meals soaked into the marrow of apartment complexes. I know urban, and I definitely don't own urban. I own my Black experience of suburbia and running through the streets of Little Five Points, a neighborhood that stood just a mile from my private high school. But I'd never experienced urban spit with such malice. This kid was trying to call me out for my Blackness, attempting to contort my essence, my history, my cultural inheritance into something ugly, my voice into something shameful by linking me with his vision of what is other. Under normal circumstances, that definitely would have gotten to me. But I had just taken on an elder for the very first time. I had major indiscretions to grapple with, while my fellow congoers erupted into belligerence at an attempt to educate and come to terms. I was emotionally unmoved. I sat quietly thinking about who I wanted to be, what kind of community member I was turning into, and how I could be myself while occupying that space. Fueled by the confidence of a 17-year-old who had never yet to make a bad gamble or an uncalculated move, I ran against that youth who called me urban for social action coordinator. I hadn't entered into the weekend planning to run, but knowing that I was the only person interested in facing them was my call. If not me, then who? Sometimes my calls feel like that. Faced with a formatively traumatic day, I chose to walk further into harm rather than let others be harmed by my inaction. To be clear, I am not naming a virtue, but a personal flaw. There's a direct line between this foundational story and my current life. At 17, UUism offered me an exit that I would have advised anyone to walk through. I could have called my dad to pick me up and then disappeared altogether. Instead of exiting that space that had not been fully prepared to serve me as I was, I chose to create an alternative out of just an opportunity and gumption. This unflinchingness, this heels dug in brand of resistance, this punk spirit, this character flaw that my career is built on. UUism offered me an exit, and instead of taking it, I called myself into service.
okay, we're also gonna do de colores now, but not the one in the book, because the words are wrong. So, I don't know, is there a slide with the words? There's no slide with the words. But you've heard it before, and I think you can follow along. We've done it. We've done this. We can do it. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir, y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí, y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Canta el gallo con el kirikiri, kirikiri, kiri. La gallina con el cara, 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 cara. Los pollitos con el pío, 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 pi. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí.
Epilogue. I ran on the platform that I was a known quantity. I demonstrated that I value the youth in the Mid-South District as well as the community that we were creating, that I had their backs. I won the election and proceeded to have an incredible year as social action coordinator, co-leading a youth conference that centered a protest and leading another one, an epic social action learning con. I had both the help of the Youth Adult Committee, the support of my home youth group, and a select group of adult advocates. My 17th year was one of tremendous leadership lessons and was because of the multi-generational communities that I was given the ability to learn in. I am, in most respects, a UU success story. My question is, who is a budding UU success story in this community? Who is actively themselves, so much so that you can't help but notice? Whose existence, activism, and morality meshes with some but confounds others? What youth among you will hold regional, national, and international leadership positions? And what youth among you needs space to process the experience of being among you? It's okay if you don't know. It's okay if you live out the rest of your days not knowing. But for the sake of community, choose to show up as if we are always offering someone both an exit and an opportunity, that at any given moment will be that one, that someone among us chooses UUism for themselves. Thank you.